This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference in Florida 2015. I have with me Alan Milinazzo of InspireMD. It's a publicly traded company and the symbol is NSPR. Alan, welcome to SNNLive.
Shelley, good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Let's get an overview on the company and we'll go from there.
Sure. InspireMD is a very novel company that's developing technology that allows patients to benefit, heart attack patients and stroke patients to benefit from an advancement of existing technology, stenting, where we actually are able to not only open the vessel, but at the same time protect the heart or the brain from embolization that occurs during the procedure. It's a very exciting technology.
How does it work?
So what we do, it's really interesting about this technology, is that it actually works with current technology. So you take a current stent design, which is made of metal, and you actually put our technology called Micronet on top of it. And by doing so, you actually allow the physician to do the procedure exactly the same way. There is no change in technique, and there's no requirement for the physician to use another device to do what we're trying to do, which is not only open the vessel, but actually protect the brain or the heart from the material that could be liberated. So it's a very elegant design, very simple design.
And how does it affect the patient care?
It's a really good question. So in both cases, what happens is a patient who actually survives a heart attack or a stroke is at risk of having embolization. Whatever the material is that's blocking the vessel, whether it's in the coronary anatomy or in the cerebral anatomy, that material, that plaque, that thrombus could still break away. So what it does is it allows the patient to benefit from the fact that you open the vessel, but you're protecting it from embolization, and that stays with the patient. So it's an implant that stays behind, which is actually very novel in this space.
So I guess it requires an IND as opposed to another form of FDA approval, correct?
It is a little bit longer approval process. It's actually a Class 3 device, which means it is a life-saving device. And so we have had an FDA trial. We've run some patients in an FDA trial, but even more significantly, in our cardiology setting, we have about 30,000 patients that have already been treated outside the United States. And with our new product for the cerebral, the stroke patients, we've got about 400 with very, very positive early clinical data and really creating a buzz around this, how this technology is going to change patient care.
I was going to ask you, how is the medical field accepting it? Because, they look for new things like this that not an extra add-on, but it's a simple procedure. It's the same procedure they're doing. You want to share that information?
Yeah, it's actually a very timely question because we just came from a conference, the leading cardiology and interventional radiology conference in the world in San Francisco, and we had a presentation on the technology. And from the podium, unprompted, the moderator looked out to the audience, which was packed, and said, "How many of you, after hearing about this device, would change your practice?" 100% of the audience raised their hands. And again, it's early for us, but the technology is really starting to make a difference, as evidenced not only in the clinical work, but even how physicians are changing their practice.
Alan, where's the technology from? Where's the science coming from? Where was it developed?
So the technology was developed in Israel. Professor Chaim Lotan was really one of the founders of this thinking. Again, it's a very elegant design, no one done it, but Professor Lotan, with others in and around the Tel Aviv area, although Professor Lotan works out of Jerusalem, he worked with some inventors in Tel Aviv to develop the technology and bring it forward. And then subsequently, we've brought a lot of the business activities to the United States, but we've kept the development activities in Israel.
I'm going to ask you the big question that I'm sure investors and the audience want to know. When will this be available in the United States?
Yeah, it's a longer road for the United States patient population, which is true of all medical devices. That's something we're working on. The FDA is trying to streamline the process. So probably not for 2 or 3 years in the United States. But for us, the benefit is that we are helping patients. That information is going to be useful as the FDA evaluates the technology for approval.
So let's just go back for a minute and discuss the device and how it affixes to the stent and how that procedure all comes around.
Sure. So conventional stenting is a metal device. It's a metal tube, and it has openings which allow you to deploy it. What happens is the openings are just too large, but if you were to add more metal to the device, you'd make it too rigid. It could not be delivered. So what we've done is we've taken this ultra-thin, 20-micron thickness of a hair, and we've actually woven it in a proprietary fashion around the stent structure, the scaffold, the metal, which allows you to maintain the revascularization, the force that you need, but at the same time be thin enough to actually do it in one step, and it doesn't add profile to the device, and it actually gives you that embolization benefit without having to do an extra step. So it's just an ingenious design.
So it can save some lives.
It is saving lives. We actually have data that it's saving lives. In fact, we have over 1,000 patients that have been treated in a randomized fashion where we improved the mortality rate by 50% for cardiac patients. And in the stroke area, we're seeing the same types of benefits early on in our clinical evidence. It's actually a very exciting time.
Would it be something that would become reimbursable in of course, after it's been approved?
The beauty of this, actually, Shelley, is that because it's a stent platform, it's already reimbursed. And so wherever you're doing the procedure with a stent, you can be reimbursed for our device. So it's actually one of the other ingenious thoughts behind this from an inventor standpoint.
What's your background?
So my background is 30 years of interventional devices, Medtronic. I ran a business at Medtronic, ran a business at Boston Scientific. In fact, I was at Boston Scientific when it was an $80 million private company, and then have gone on to run other public companies. So I got interested in this technology because it really is clinically significant, making a very good difference. So we've put a nice management team together, and we're working hard to bring it to the patients.
Alan, let's get your website out there for our audience, please.
Thank you, Shelley. It's www.InspireMD.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Milinazzo, InspireMD. It's a publicly traded company on the NYSE, and the symbol is NSPR. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference in Florida, 2015. Alan, thank you for coming.
Thanks so much, Shelley. Good to talk with you.
Good to have you.
Bye-bye.